I spent the last month in the United States and Canada with my husband and son, and one of my goals was simple: do not completely let go of my health and feel like a jet-lagged couch potato by the time our trip ended. Yes, vacations are to let loose, enjoy, eat a little more than usual, maybe even gain a few pounds. Nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean that our health should get completely derailed. So in this video, I'll share my simple, realistic non-negotiables that help me stay on track with my health so that I don't have a hard time bouncing back when I get home. Hey everyone, if you're new here, I'm Kiara. I am a certified nutritionist, PR practitioner, and mom whose goal is to help simplify health and wellness for those who feel overwhelmed. If you're looking for intentional, realistic, and sustainable ways to level up your health and nutrition, feel free to subscribe and check out the other videos in this channel. For our coast-to-coast trip, we flew from Manila, passed through Taiwan, then landed in San Francisco. Then, a few days later, we drove to Monterey, Santa Barbara, LA, and Vegas, then flew to Vancouver, Toronto, and finally, New York. That's 8 cities in a span of 3.5 weeks, so it was a pretty hectic but really awesome adventure. And of course, since we were moving around a lot, we really had to keep our energy and immunity and overall health up. The way I see it, health comes down to 5 main areas: nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep, and stress management. My travel non-negotiables are meant to cover these 5 areas so that I could feel physically and mentally grounded throughout the trip. The first non-negotiable was to prepare my travel supplements. I'm honestly not a big supplement girly compared to other wellness enthusiasts. On a regular day, the only supplements I take are creatine and collagen. All the other vitamins and minerals I try to get from food. I'll always promote a food-first, supplements-when-needed philosophy. But when traveling, it's definitely not a regular day. There are many variables like weather, time difference, jet lag, new routines, new food, etc. So in this case, supplements can be a big help in filling in any nutrient gaps that you might have during your trip. Before going on my trip, my concern was possible dehydration because I had already expected that I wouldn't be drinking as much water as I normally would just because we'd be moving around different cities more. So my main supplements were electrolyte packets. This is a brand I found online. This isn't sponsored or anything, but the ingredients are pretty wholesome, it's affordable, and it has a good amount of sodium, potassium, and magnesium in one serving. It also has a bit of prebiotics for gut support, and a light lime flavor and no sugar. I mix it into water first thing in the morning, then chug it down so that I could start the day with a hydration boost. That doesn't mean that I didn't try to drink enough water throughout the day or that you don't need to drink as much water when you get your electrolytes in. Electrolytes are just helpful for days when you need extra hydration. Joey and I also brought some vitamin C effervescent tablets for days when we felt that an immunity boost could help, but not necessarily every day. So ideally, tailor your supplements based on your own needs. Joey has his own set of supplements based on what he needs, and we both just remember to take them every morning. Second non-negotiable is to be mindful of portions. Traveling can lead to eating more than usual, and mind you, the portions in the US are a lot bigger than the portions in the Philippines. So this is my main advice to be able to enjoy all the yummy, unique food wherever you are, and that's really just not eating too much of it. This is something Joey and I have gotten used to since we love to eat and try as many types of food as possible. Since we're 3 people, together with our 6-year-old son Jose, who has a moderate appetite, whenever we order in a restaurant, we'd usually order 2 dishes instead of 3, then split them among us 3. But it really depends. Sometimes we'd order more dishes to try if they're small portions. Then, if we still have the appetite for it, we'd walk to another destination and eat some more as long as we're sharing most of it and we're not filling ourselves up too much. The more food you can share, the more food you can try. Another thing I do to help manage my portions is that in the evening, at the end of the day, I try to do a mental log of the things I ate that day. The reason is that as you ease into your vacation, the natural tendency is to eat more and more than usual because of your vacation mindset and all the access you have to different types of food. When I do my mental log and realize that for that day, I had ice cream twice, plus a few candy bars, I'll become aware that I had way more sugar than usual and try to dial it down the next day. So doing this mental log each night isn't to deprive myself of eating the food I enjoy while on vacation. It's just a little reminder to myself that I don't need to eat everything and I shouldn't eat everything. I can still be more selective and intentional about what I eat so that I can fully enjoy them too. Third is to look for plant foods as much as possible. When traveling, we tend to eat less fiber than usual because we're not exactly thinking about salads and veggies when we're on a food trip. But when we skip fiber, we miss out on these micronutrients that are supposed to improve our energy and digestion. So yeah, we can enjoy the carbs, the protein, and fats that we like. But it would be great to balance it out with fiber, especially fruits and veggies. Maybe not necessarily with every meal since that might be challenging while traveling, but at least once a day. It can be a fruit cup for breakfast so that you could have your fill at the start, or a veggie side for lunch or dinner. It's a good habit and it can get easier the more you do it. Fourth is to walk all the time, especially after eating. Before this trip, I had this plan to work out at least 3 times a week. I had these bodyweight strength, HIIT, and Pilates exercises mapped out that didn't need any equipment or much space, so it was flexible for me to do in the room. 30 minutes, done in the morning. But when we landed in our first destination in San Francisco, our jet lag hit us harder than expected and it took us several days to adjust. Then after that, most of our days started pretty early and ended late, so that whole workout plan pretty much went down the drain. But we did overcompensate with walking. We walked all over the 8 cities we visited. And it felt great. Walking increases our NEAT, our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or the energy your body burns from the daily movement you do outside an actual workout. That includes walking, standing, doing chores, carrying groceries, playing with your kid, and even twiddling your thumbs or tapping your foot. It's great for the metabolism, and walking, especially after meals, can help manage blood sugar spikes and provide more stable energy versus an energy crash or slump. It's highly recommended, and if you're traveling somewhere with nice weather, all the more you should do it. Fifth is to prioritize beauty sleep. A vacation is supposed to be relaxing, but as we all know, it can get tiring, especially if you have a lot going on during the day or you're hopping from one place to the next. So the best way to repair and refresh your body is by sleeping well at night, a good 7 hours or more. Or if you lack sleep for one night, nap during the day if you need to. During the first week of our trip, we napped every afternoon to get ourselves through the jet lag and feel awake enough for the next day. If you're the type who has a hard time sleeping, look into magnesium supplements or anything recommended by your healthcare provider. It's really not great being on a trip and feeling exhausted all the time. Sixth is to soak in nature. This is an instant mood booster and stress reliever. Being outside and among nature helps calm the mind and reset your energy. It was springtime in the US, so it was cold but pleasant, and it was the norm to walk outside, hang out in a park, buy some food, and eat it on a bench. It's honestly an underrated health habit. But it's free, it boosts happy hormones like serotonin and endorphins, and you get a good dose of vitamin D from the sunlight. Seventh is to pack light. This might be a hot take for some, especially for those who prefer to bring as many things as possible or those with bigger families. So you do you. I personally prefer to pack the bare minimum. Basic clothes I can wear several times, toiletries, medicines, travel documents. Having less things on hand means having less to carry and think about, less stress, more headspace to take photos and videos, be present, and just enjoy the trip. Since we were traveling to 8 cities, both by road and by plane, we forced ourselves to fit all our stuff into one large suitcase plus our 2 carry-on bags. It was an effort, especially since we had to bring some jackets, but it was possible. And it made the trip more stress-free than if we had lugged around more things. And last is for those traveling with kids. To think of it as more of a health boost than a source of stress. I know it can be stressful dealing with their emotions and always negotiating with them, especially when they're at that age when they're constantly demanding for things or choosing not to follow you. But if you know, you know. Traveling with kids is totally different from traveling as a couple or with friends or alone. It can be exhausting, especially with multiple kids, kudos to those who do that, but also super fun and memorable. And when you're traveling with your kids, you're always looking out for them. Walking with them, running after them, playing outside with them, sharing your food with them. All of this requires a lot of energy, and that's where the health boost comes from. All your happy hormones, your serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin get activated. Enjoy and embrace the experience, including those little stressful moments. And those were my 8 non-negotiables to stay on track with my health while traveling. They're not meant to take away the fun of traveling, but to help you stay on top of your physical and mental well-being in realistic ways. Because some of us tend to let go a bit when we get into vacation mode, myself included. It is what it is, that's why it's good to be mindful. And right before this trip, my family and I actually lived in 3 different homes before settling into our new permanent one. And what I took away from that experience is that you can be healthy and balanced wherever you are. Home is what you make it, just see and work with what's around you. Hope you enjoyed this video and took away something from it for your next trip. Please feel free to give it a thumbs up, share your own healthy travel tips in the comments, and subscribe to this channel for more videos on simple and realistic nutrition, wellness, and motivation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.